Okay, first of all, I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to Laura Todd's very first attempt to create a Laura Todd Theater. Laura Todd would like to also call this, I suppose, Cookie Rookie School. I have to tell you that I'm really happy to be here. Our whole chat we're going to have is going to be informal in nature, and we're going to go on from this first opening, these first opening comments, into a whole series of chapters to teach each and every one of you how to be a Laura Todd cookie person and how to make Laura Todd cookies. As you all know, I'm Patrick Brent, and I'm from back in the Midwest, and I'm also very proud of being Laura Todd's grandson. Laura Todd is probably one of the most formative or meaningful people in my life. My grandmother pretty much raised me. My grandmother was born in 1891 on the 29th of July in Mount Pleasant, Iowa. She would have been 94 years old today being the 29th of July, which is also our second anniversary of the Cookie Bakery here at 29 Powell Street. Kind of our favorite number, since Laura Todd was born on the 29th. And she was born in Mount Pleasant, Iowa, and she was raised back in the turn of the century days. Mount Pleasant was just a few miles from the Mississippi River that separated Iowa from Illinois. In fact, one of the things she used to do as a young girl for exercise was swim across the Mississippi River to Illinois and rest a little and swim back. And that was a little over a mile swim, which is a long swim, right, Bernie? And Marine Corps type stuff. And then she was always a really good cook and an extremely good baker. Her name was Laura Mabel Todd, and she worked part-time for the switchboard, the telephone company in Mount Pleasant, where people would just crank and call up or pick up the phone, and the operator would have to dial the number and do everything for you. There was no dials or anything like that. And then her other job was baking cookies in her home and selling them. She'd sell them in boxes and tins and things like that. And later on, when she moved to Illinois and got married, and had her daughter Frances, which later became my mother, she opened up a small cookie bakery in Glen Ellen, Illinois, a little town outside of Chicago. Prior to opening up that cookie bakery, and one of the reasons she opened it up is because my grandmother's favorite pastime at birthdays and Christmases was to take tins of cookies and pass them out to each and every one of her relatives or friends. But she had a whole series of different types of tins that she had collected over the years, but you had to pass those tins back, because if you didn't give the tin back to her the next Christmas or the next birthday, you didn't receive any cookies. And everybody would always wonder why I didn't get the cookies the next year. Is because they didn't return the tin. She was very big on getting the tins back. Now, we don't make our customers return the tins, but the thing is, she had also in 1933, when the Chicago World's Fair, entered several of her cookies, and the oatmeal walnut raisin cookie with a little secret hint of cinnamon in it, as you all know, or will know as you go through to school, won the first prize in the cookie thing at the World's Fair in Chicago in 1933. And that's why we call that cookie. Bernie, what do we call that cookie?
The 1930.
Right. And all the cookies, for the most part, have a name that tie into some type of tradition or history of the Laura Todd and her family. As you know, many cookie companies just start off and they make up a name, or they call it Grandma's this or that. One of the things we're real proud of is that we do have a legacy that goes back to 1891, and that there are real people that did the whole thing, and we want you all to be proud of that. That's one of the reasons it's very important that you pay a lot of attention to the following chapters about learning things about Laura Todd, because we take what we do very seriously. We've chosen each and every one of you very carefully. We look at many people before we hire each person at Laura Todd, and we try to hire people that have the right attitude and that have the right sense of responsibility about working in our cookie business. We want people that are honest and hardworking. We feel if people have those two qualities, it's going to last them in good stead the rest of their life, and it's going to help them move on with Laura Todd. One of the things we feel we sell here is we sell much more than cookies. As you know, there are many people that sell down the street. They sell pizza and hamburgers and various types of lunches and meals and things like that. But cookies are something special. Cookies, even more than a dessert item, it's the kind of thing where people give themselves a treat. You know, like they're all excited about getting a treat, and they know where Laura Todd is, and they know we have the best cookies in the whole world. Clearly the best ones here in San Francisco, and so far we've never been beaten in a cookie contest, and we've been in about 20 contests, 2 nationwide, and we've always been first. So we're proud of that, and it's very important that each and every one of you take those traditions and that sense of responsibility and generate that attitude in each and every cookie we sell to our Laura Todd customers. It's I want you to imagine that somebody, you know, a lot of commuters come by here all the time, and they work up in the business area of San Francisco, and they love Laura Todd cookies. And I've seen many people on their way back to the train or the bus, they've stopped by here and bought cookies. Now, can you imagine if somebody's worked all week long and they just had a terrible Friday, a long day Friday. They went to work at 7 in the morning. They've worked all day long. They skipped lunch. Their boss has been yelling at them and giving them a lot of pressure about something. And they leave work, and they're about 6 o'clock, and they're just really worn out, and they're walking down Powell Street, and they're about 2 blocks from here, and they start thinking, would it be nice to have a Laura Todd cookie? Because they've had them many times before. And so they're thinking about how much they'd really, really like to have a Laura Todd Classic, because that's their favorite cookie. And they're thinking about it. And they're getting all the way down here, and they turn the corner, they walk into Laura Todd, and the person on duty is leaning against the counter like they do down the street at some of the other cookie places. They're leaning against the counter. The place is a little dirty. Then they look at the tray where their Laura Todd Classics are that they want to purchase, and there's none left. There's all just a gold tray there. And they've been thinking about that all day and all along the walk on Powell Street. And it's not like, you know, where if McDonald's was closed, they could go to Burger King. It's like we're the only ones with really something of the quality we sell. Every ingredient we've chosen here. We went through 8 raisins before we chose the raisin we finally put into 1933. We took the largest, juiciest raisin. There isn't an ingredient here that we could buy out on the market more expensive. We buy extremely fine Swiss-style milk chocolate, but our dark chocolate, which we're really proud of, our dark chocolate is made to our specifications. We took a chocolate company back in Illinois, a chocolate research lab back in Illinois, and they came up with a special formula, which the chocolate company over in just outside of San Francisco actually makes to our specifications. It's conched or mixed longer like European chocolate. That's what our dark chocolate is the highest quality of any cookie in the country. And not only that, we put more chocolate in our cookies, probably more than we do dough, than any other cookie. There's not a cookie out there. We know what our competitors do, and we put a ½ pound more chocolate than anybody else in the United States. And people love chocolate, and especially chocolate that isn't like ordinary stuff that's really mixed in a good, rich, dark chocolate. And they've been thinking about that classic with all that dark chocolate in it. And they're walking around the corner, and they see somebody that's a little dirty, they see somebody leaning against the counter. But let me tell you something, that would really be sad if that happened. And I don't want, and now and then things go wrong, but we hope that never happens at Laura Todd. We hope if somebody has that experience, they're having it somewhere else. Because my grandmother and I always feel that in the cookies we're selling happiness. We're selling a cookie smile. When they walk around the corner, they're not just getting their lunch like they would at a McDonald's place or something like that. They're buying a treat, something very special for themselves. They're willing to spend a lot of money in relationships for each cookie. And we want to give them a smile with each cookie, and we want to thank them for the business, and we want to make them happy. And if you're busy, you have to take care of all your customers very fast. But if there's only one customer at a time, you can ask them where they're from. And you can give them a Laura Todd mail order form and encourage them to be part of the Laura Todd tradition and like Laura Todd on a regular basis. I wanted to talk to you about appearance. One of the things that my grandmother was obsessed with, and I'm very passionate about, is how the bakery looks and how each and every one of you look. Now, cookies in bakeries are kind of like the dairy industry or something. It's a wholesomeness. It's like Disneyland. It's like apple pie and motherhood. All those, and the flag. It's all those corny, good American things. And it's important that each and every person look very clean in their appearance, that they dress and maintain themselves very nicely, and that the bakery, the outer lobby area, especially the things things the customers see, the trays, the counter, the coffee area, if they see a little bit of messiness here, or a little dirt here, or they see somebody whose tie's crooked and they have dirt all over themselves, they're going to think, it probably won't be true, but they're going to think that our cookies are not that good, or that our cookies have been in that environment, and we don't want that. We want you and the bakery must look really, really good. One of the other things I want to talk to you about is is your future with Laura Todd. Now, many people, as you know, have already received a couple of promotions here. Like I know this young lady right here was made assistant manager recently, and we're planning on opening up other bakeries both in this area as well as other parts of the country, and there'll be a chance to go on with other jobs at Laura Todd. So there are some promotions available at Laura Todd, and we hope that some of you will make those jobs and get more and more responsibility. But we know in time, a lot of you are in your very first job, right, Daniel? A lot of you are in your very first job. So we know that you might someday, Daniel might go on and get all sorts of college degrees and become a nuclear scientist. Or like one of our marketing managers recently got a management job with Burger King, paying extremely good salary. So there are many places to go once you have a good background. And I guess that brings me probably the most important single part of my message here today, is that most of you are starting off in your Laura Todd cookie rookie career, and you're in your formative years. You're in your, many times, you're in your very first job. Well, I want you to realize that we know that some of you will not be with us forever, that you might go on to college and to other jobs or other situations, and we realize that it's very important, though, that you understand that now is the time in your very first job, or one of your early jobs, you develop the work habits and the qualities that will carry you on through life. So I guess what I'm saying is that even though we know you're loyal to Laura Todd and you're going to be good Laura Todd people, we want to emphasize that what you should do first is be true to yourself and be loyal to yourself. And what I mean by that is now's the time for you to develop those two qualities we mentioned at the beginning of this chapter. We mentioned that we want people that are honest and hardworking. And if you develop those two qualities here at Laura Todd, think about it. You can develop those two qualities wherever you go. You go on to college, you go on to another job, you get various other, or even promotions within Laura Todd. Those two qualities will take you through the rest of your life. They'll take you on to where your personal relationships and your future business or job relationships, those two qualities will make you a special person. They'll give you more money, happiness, and reward than you would have if you develop bad habits here. So it's important that now that you're starting on your Laura Todd career, one of your first jobs, you decide at this point, what type of person do I want to be? Do I want to be somebody who is honest and hardworking, or do I want to be that other type of person? So I ask you now to decide the type of person you want to be. And remember, unfortunately, if you want to be the other kind of person, you're going to be really unhappy, because we're going to fire you. I can just guarantee you that. We're going to fire you, and you'll be unhappy, and you'll go on to another job and do those same bad things, and it'll be a pattern for the rest of your life. So we ask you now to decide what type of person you want to be, and if you want to be a hardworking, good, honest person, we're delighted to have you here at Laura Todd, and we wish your time here is extremely well spent, and we want to thank you for choosing us for one of your very first jobs. Thank you. Now I guess we'll ask a few questions, if there's any questions in the audience. Yes, did you have a question?
Well,
okay, Tamara?
how many types of Laura Todd cookies do you sell?
Well, right now we're selling 7 cookies, and they're all named, and you'll go through the menu later on in your school, but they're all named after traditions that Laura Todd has developed, and we're experimenting with an 8th type of cookie from time to time. We will rarely sell a huge assortment, because we know that when somebody walks in, if they don't buy one kind, they'll buy the other kind, and in order to keep freshness up, in order to keep our quality up, we can't bake an enormous number of cookies. If we baked like 10, 12, 15 different types of cookies, we'd have a lot of stale cookies. And we don't sell a cookie after 2 hours. We want to sell fresh cookies. We want that chocolate, that good dark chocolate, still warm and toasty inside. Anybody else have a question?
Are we any other Lord Todd cookies in San Francisco?
Well, not right now, but we're negotiating for one up north, and we hope that'll come through. We're very slow to expand because we need a location that has a lot of foot traffic. Our bakeries must be placed where there's a great number of people, because our cookies are, for most part, an impulse item. And if our cookie was in a quiet neighborhood, the bakery would not have enough business to keep everyone happy.
Where can I go after I join the Lord Todd team?
Okay, now there's lots of places you can go. Within Laura Todd, you could go on to you could get promoted into marketing or sales, because we have, as you know, a lot of wholesale business. We sell at all the hotels in San Francisco. We're in the top floor of the Hyatt Union Square, and we're sold at the Hyatt Regency, and we're sold in the Hilton and the Cliff and the St. Francis, and we're sold in Neiman Marcus. So we need marketing people and sales people. We also have the natural, after you finish Cookie Rookie School and you become a senior an accomplished cookie person, you can then go on to become an assistant manager, and then a manager at a new Laura Todd as we go on. And if you ever travel or considering expanding to other cities, that would give you an opportunity. Plus, the kind of things you learn at Laura Todd, the kind of things you learn about cleanliness and quality, food service, hygiene, the kind of business things you learn could take you on to other jobs if you were ever left Laura Todd and went on to some city where there wasn't a Laura Todd. Maddie?
When did Laura Todd start making her famous cookies?
Well, the first chocolate chip was made in actually 1929, and she didn't have chips though like we had now. You take a bar of chocolate and you would cut off slivers and make it like that. There wasn't chips like we have now with the huge machines over the chocolate factory make those perfectly shaped chips. But it was about 1929 when she started making the first chocolate chip. It's much earlier, and we don't have the exact date. It was probably about the turn of the century, the early 1900s in Mount Pleasant, Iowa, that she started actually baking them for jars and boxes there. And now, is there any other questions? Any new ones? Any other? Because, well, good. Now, remember, this theater is designed just for you, to help you learn. We've put a lot of energy into it, and what you can do, now you'll be watching this whole thing, you'll be taking a test at the end of it. And then once you start working at Laura Todd, assuming you pass the test, once you start working at Laura Todd, what you'll be able to do is go back. Let's say after mixing or baking or one of the more difficult chapters, you're a little bit confused, you can go back and take the chapter off the rack and put it on the TV and replay that 10-minute chapter and get yourself back into it. So please make the most of this school and study hard. And I want to thank you all for joining the Laura Todd family.